Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Pardon me, my name's Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. It is the second day of February 2023. Thanks so much for being with us today, or perhaps over on the archives. And if you're listening on the archives, you know we're archived everywhere, but on our website it's at ace-ed.org. You know, we're on Apple and all that sort of stuff, but ace-ed.org, that's where we archive every podcast, and it's where our magazine, Equity and Access Pre-K-12, it's our online journal, new issue came out yesterday, all right, and actually my guests are in there, okay, this month, so please check out the magazine. You'll look for BENETECH. We've got the CEO of BENETECH, Ayan Kishore, here, and Ayan's going to talk about all the wonderful things they're doing over at BENETECH and Bookshare, which is one of my favorite companies out there, without question. With that, one of my favorite nonprofit organizations. What they do has always been just great with the great people that work there. And we're going to talk about all those things, including what Ayan's thinking about with educational equity and how BENETECH fits in that, and how you, as an educator, can use BENETECH and Bookshare to offer great things to your K-12 students. It's really, really good stuff. All right. And anyway, check out ace-ed.org. The new issue of our magazine is over there. Our SEL Today is over there on social emotional learning. We have a whole new thing we're doing, and we're building it up right now on teacher retention, teacher-retention.com. But, our big thing is the magazine's issue. It's a beautiful issue. It has to do with our Equity Award winners this year. All right, and we honor every one of them, the companies, the people, your colleagues, etc., who won our National Equity Award. So please check it out. Everything's over at ace-ed.org. All right, and I'm Larry, and this is Ayan. Hi, Ayan. How are you doing? It's Larry here.
Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me. Doing well today.
Well, are you kidding me? I am honored, sir, to have you here. And what I said before about BENETECH and Bookshare, and BENETECH is BENETECH.org, BENETECH.org. It's just a wonderful company. And I got to tell you something. I've been reading your resume here, Ayan, and your resume, you're such a good guy. You're such a good guy. Okay? How can I say that better? You're such a good guy. You've done so many wonderful things in technology to help people. Okay, and when you get to heaven, send me a note. Let me know what it's like. I hope that's not for 100 years. Okay, please. Okay, and
thank you for the kind words.
You're welcome, my friend. And also, I love this. You have a computer engineering degree from Georgia Tech, where you were a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech. Okay.
It sure was.
Also, and are you from Georgia? Where are you from originally?
No, I'm not actually from Georgia. I actually immigrated to the U.S. and was lucky enough to go to Georgia Tech and become a Yellow Jacket, and then become a Tartan at Carnegie Mellon and stay on from there. So yeah, you
certainly did. Okay, and you're a Tartan. That was a Jeopardy question a few weeks ago. They asked what school because it was funded by endowed by a Scotsman, if I may. Okay, why they called the Tartans? That was Andrew Carnegie. Okay, it's cool.
Wow, didn't know that was on Jeopardy.
It was on Jeopardy about a month ago. It was the final Jeopardy. Okay, and it was really cool. It was, what team is the Tartans endowed by a Scotsman? And it turned out, of course, it was Carnegie Mellon. You also have a master's in human computer interaction. So I have to ask you, how come my computer doesn't change things when I curse at it? I don't
That's why we need
that.
more people figuring out the psychology. No, it's very fascinating.
It needs to react to my anger when it starts to go nuts here. Okay, and I just got to tell everybody this. You've done so many things, but I love this. Since 2008, you, Ayan, have served as the chairman of the board for a Development Solutions Organization. Listen to this, everybody. A volunteer program for top-tier college students and private sector professionals to provide pro bono consulting for racial justice and for international development nonprofits. It's just unbelievable, the things that you have done. And, wow, that's all I have to say as well. What year did you immigrate here?
In 2003. So,
wow.
Yeah, completed 2 decades.
You went straight to Georgia Tech? You went straight to Georgia Tech?
I sure did. Yeah.
Wow. Where were you from? Where were you from in India?
I grew up in India and in Oman, which is in the Gulf in the Middle East. And wow. My first entry to the U.S. was in Atlanta, which was really shaping for my life. So it was great.
Slight difference, but man, that is just great. And I assume you had a varsity hot dog somewhere along the line, did you?
I did. I'm vegan now, but at the time I did.
You're welcome. May I be the 1 millionth to welcome you to America in the world of varsity hot dogs. Okay, in Atlanta, and if I may, you'll love this over in Pittsburgh, a Perino Brothers hamburger. Okay, then you're good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean. Primanti is also great. Right.
No, it's great stuff. All right. Is Perante's or Perino? What's the name of the place with the hamburgers, with the French fries in Pittsburgh? What's it called?
I mean, one of the famous ones is Primanti, which has the sandwiches.
Primanti, that's fries. It. That's what I was thinking of. I said Peranti.
Yeah. And honestly, I think you get French fries in every burger or every sandwich in Pittsburgh.
But not on the burger itself, Just there's crazy stick there. Okay. All right. Tell us about, you're the CEO. Congratulations. It's a wonderful mix, okay, between you and the good folks there and all the good you do. Tell us about BENETECH, which is actually beneficial technology, if I may. Okay. Mm-hmm. And tell us about that and Bookshare. Okay. Hello. And when did you arrive there? How long have you been there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I started at BENETECH in around Thanksgiving of 2021. So, a little bit more than a year ago, and it's been a great journey. I mean, as you know, lots of good people and tremendously important work and great work. So happy to talk more about BENETECH. I think but I'm not sure how many of your listeners do. But one of our
everything. Yeah, I mean, okay. I just love the company, and the people are wonderful, and what you do. I keep saying the company, it's a nonprofit organization, but what you guys do is amazing. So why don't you brag a little bit and talk about that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so our impetus at BENETECH is to really help everyone learn, regardless of ability, race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status. And we do this by making sure that learning approaches and materials are made accessible, right? Education access, equitable access to education is a human right, and no one should be excluded because of, inaccessible learning approaches and materials. Our core service is Bookshare. And if folks are not familiar, you can go to bookshare.org. And we provide Bookshare to students in America, and this basically provides free access to the world's largest collection of accessible content. Bookshare has over 1 million titles. We work with nearly 1,000 publishers. You can find everything from bestsellers to obscure books your teachers will assign you to read. And it's a tremendous resource. Students with low vision, dyslexia, other learning differences and disabilities, they can use Bookshare to read and learn in ways that work for them, right? I mean, I think that's really important, right? Everyone has a different way to learn. You can consume a book in Bookshare that has text highlighted as you go through it. You can have audio narration, and there's many other formats, and all those sorts of techniques really help students with dyslexia, those who use screen readers and other tools. So, I'm really proud of the work we've done. So far we have delivered more than 20 million accessible books to over 1.5 million students. Wow. Yeah, and we're really proud of how we've really helped students, adults, job seekers read, learn, and really pursue their dreams. So I'm very excited about the work we do and what we're continuing to do and go forward.
Yeah, the work you do, I have to tell you, is heartwarming. I mean, you guys really go out of your way to make things happen for people who otherwise might not be able to move forward with their lives and their learning, et cetera. It's just amazing. And I have to ask, I know it has to do mostly with dyslexia, sight challenges, et cetera. But if there's a area where people just don't have access to books in the United States or Canada, okay, can they use Bookshare? Let's say the kid is fully sighted, fully fine. How does Bookshare shake out for that, or just the average kid who might need it? the average school in rural America that might need it. I'm making that up, and you know what I mean. Or do you want it to be specifically for those kids with, or the students with some sort of special need? How's it work?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, a portion of our collection is open copyright, which means anybody can access it. And part of what we're doing this year is to help streamline when you get onto Bookshare that you can go ahead and access the content that is open and make it easier for you to do that. But I mean, the other part of what we have, which is the largest part of our collection, is really bound by copyright rules. And the exceptions that we work with really allows us to provide content for free to students with identified disabilities. And this is not necessarily, and I think the challenge, and we can talk more about that, is that it's not only low vision, dyslexia, or other sort of there are many other barriers that actually qualify you to use a tool like Bookshare. And that's one of the things we try to get across to teachers, is that if a student is struggling with reading, there is a very high chance to qualify for Bookshare. And
that's actually what I was talking about, because well, maybe you didn't see, but the NAEP scores, the National Assessment of Educational Reading, was in the tank, as was everything else. Okay, and a lot of kids are having reading problems. All right, especially, if I may, in this computer age. No offense to you, mighty computer engineer, but you know what's going on. Okay, in terms of, the kids are watching video games more so, or cable TV, whatever, streaming, more so than reading. It's creating reading difficulties. This is not good. Okay, talk about that part of it.
No, absolutely. And I think, we've been really focused. I mean, everyone, I think as a society, we know how important reading is. And, you need to read to learn, and then you need to learn to read and then read to learn. And, I think what we really provide is this vast resource of content that you can, not only read in the class, you can read at home. I mean, having access to supplementary reading materials is absolutely key for education. And then really, you can find anything you're interested in. I think that's part of the challenge, right? I mean, I have kids, and I'm trying to get my elementary school kid interested in reading, and it's about what does she get interested in. But I think beyond that, just different modalities, right? I mean, we know, and for example, right, if you're a dyslexic student using a printed book, things such as rulers have, simple things like that actually help. But in the digital world, there's so much we can do. We can highlight not just the line, we can highlight the text to follow along with the audio, and we find those constructs really helping folks get excited about reading, find the content they want to read, and then really pick up reading. So, I'm really passionate about literacy and reading, and I think that Bookshare is quite a tremendous resource that can help in that process.
It's a fabulous resource. And, you said the magic word a few minutes ago. You said the word access. If kids don't have access to books, if people don't have access to books, but particularly kids in terms of learning to read, all right, they're not going to read. They have to have access to books that will not only challenge them, but entertain them. Okay, there's a reason why we learn to read. We learn from that. Okay, but it's been proven time and time again that kids who don't have a lot of books in the house, especially in the early years, okay, they're really slugged way behind in reading. And that's the beauty of what Bookshare does, okay, is give everybody access. All right, it's just access to everything. And it's just a key thing, and I'm so glad you brought up the fact, that it's not just the kids who have sight challenges or dyslexic challenges or whatever, okay? It makes a big difference, and it makes a big difference, okay, in areas, if I may, of poverty or in rural areas, okay? Are you hearing a lot from schools in under-resourced areas?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that is an area of tremendous interest for us.
Good.
And what I hope to do. Happy to talk to you more about that. But we're
Be
really
my guest. Talk. Speak. Now is your opportunity, sir. Speak.
I will. So, I think you know this more than others, right? So it's clear that students with disabilities they face barriers to education, right? But then, there are systemic barriers for students in low-income households, community of color, and rural areas, and this just leads to compounding of barriers that prevent access. So, I'll give you an example. Black, Latin, Indigenous students are less likely to access screenings that correctly identify learning differences, and parents report more obstacles to accessing services. And this is really not acceptable to us. So we want to make sure we help serve these students.
Yeah.
And, nationally we provide Bookshare for free to all students in schools. And, I think this, that this is thanks to the support from the U.S. Department of Education, and really excited that they renewed our support for another 5 years. So thank you to the Office of Special Education Programs for that.
Thank them for doing it. Your tax dollars at work, and it's a good use of tax dollars. Okay, this is what they're supposed to do with the money. This is good. I love it.
Thank you. I
good
agree.
government spending. It's about time on something. Yeah, comes free with a tank and an aircraft carrier. That kind of thing. But what can I tell you?
Right.
Yeah, brother. Okay, I'm so glad that it's renewed. But go ahead, please continue.
No, thank you. Yeah, and but really going back to your question, beyond that, what we are trying to do is really now intensively work in some underserved metro areas. You mentioned the NAEP scores. We've started working now in 5 underserved metro areas. They all have, unfortunately, low NAEP scores from the recent study. And, some of these we've already spoken about: Albuquerque, Atlanta, Detroit, Las Vegas, Memphis, right? And I am really excited about this work because, our goal here is different from, apart from providing Bookshare nationally, our goal really here is to partner with communities and find these students who are potentially dropping out of or not getting the access that they need that can really, help with their learning. So, this. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, you brought up Las Vegas and Albuquerque, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, is the access there? Obviously, there's plenty of broadband, and obviously it's a big city with a lot of libraries and stuff, okay? And a lot of casinos, I might add, but that's besides the point, all right? What I'm curious about is what is it in a city like Albuquerque, a city like probably El Paso, and a city like Las Vegas? Are we finding that that's mostly Latino kids that we're talking about here? Is it a language thing that we're talking about?
Yeah, there are so many barriers, right? There's language is a barrier. There's a lot of people who are not
English is a second language.
ESL, exactly. Yeah. And it's not just, and even others, right? I mean, even Detroit, for example, there are, communities where speak, Arabic and others, right? But beyond, there's a lot of things. It's not just language. There is, I'll be honest, there is unfortunately, I think Clark County in Vegas is one of the largest school districts. And
it is.
All of these districts we're talking about are very diverse, also with large pockets of low-income households. So, there are systemic barriers, that really affect schools and the ability for them to provide these services, and for, parents to have the time to be able to understand how best to support their children. There's systemic issues. So every place is different, right? In Albuquerque, we're working a lot with indigenous populations. In Las Vegas,
nice.
Very, very diverse. We're working with Latino and Latina populations, but others too. And Detroit is a lot with African American population. So it's I think all of these are different, and really the goal is, I think that's part of the difference from our national strategy is, in these communities we need to figure out how we can help community organizations better support these students who may not otherwise have been identified or are potentially struggling, right? And I'm really excited by model. We've started actually hiring staff that are really locally based. They are from these communities. They represent the communities. They're often, have ties to the education system, and they're really champions for students with, learning differences and other disabilities. And then we work with, we're now working with community partners, community-based organizations. This is everything from like youth centers, churches, libraries, after-school programs, summer camps, schools in the juvenile justice system, to really figure out how they can actually help students who are struggling, and how we can provide tools and services and actually bring in other national partners. So we're doing this in Detroit, for example. We're bringing an organization that can help, the Black United Fund of Michigan help screen students so they can get access to these supports and services. So I'm excited about all of that. There are other barriers too. Yeah, thank you. I think
and I have to ask this: are the schools? You mentioned like the United Fund and all that sort of stuff. Are the schools? Let's use Detroit as an example, since you brought it up. Okay, and I know they have a good superintendent over there. Are the schools as involved in this as they should, or are we more dependent on the community leaders? Where's the combination of the two? Put the schools into the equation. Yeah.
Great question. I mean, we've been very school-driven, right? I mean, our goal has been to support, teachers, those who are, support special education teachers, support, general education teachers. But that's sort of been our main way of getting. But I think getting to students. But I think, in these communities, we're trying to provide a more holistic wraparound mechanism, because I think the last few years we've seen that the school comes to the home, and there's a lot of work and power in all the work that's happening in communities to help really support these students. So I think particularly with these underserved metro areas, we are trying to focus even more outside the school and connect them with the school. But at the end of the day, our goal is really to make sure that students are in school and getting the supports they need, both in school and outside school.
And learning.
Absolutely.
Not just being there, but also learning. And, this is something that always drives me nuts. Okay, we always talk about, quote, an under-resourced school. That's a phrase, all right? But there are so many wonderful free products out there. And I want to say it again, Bookshare is free. Just Google it, Bookshare. It's free. All right. I'll use a personal example. My wife works for PBS Learning Media. Fabulous resources, free, free across the board. Okay. That's simple. All right. And there are 1,000 others too. And one of our goals with the work we do here at our Consortium for Equity is to try to get the word out on all this stuff. All right, so that schools know, we're at a point where we can do this. It's companies like, I keep saying companies, organizations, okay, like Bookshare that make this happen. All right, and the teachers and the school districts have to take advantage of it. Okay, it's there. They're doing it for you. Okay, and, we just got to make sure this is happening. I have to ask, Ayan, when you went into, let's use Las Vegas, did you guys approach them, or did they approach you? Do you remember? Do you know?
No. Yeah. In picking these communities, we I think tried to be systemic in really understanding understanding what the scores were and where we could have impact. Honestly, we want to work everywhere. Right?
Yes, I know you do.
We want to work in every community in America.
Absolutely.
Possible. Yeah. So, but we've been really, really glad to see the school districts really get excited and come on and actually partner with us. And we're seeing some tremendous indicators in these areas, as compared to our national. But we really welcome. I think one of the challenges is that, over the last few years, we've seen, through these difficult times, turnover in teachers
which makes you guys even more important, which makes you even more important. Okay. Because I have to say this, newer or substitute teachers, I hope we keep every good teacher we have. They have to have these resources at their fingertips. They have to. Yeah. It's the changed world out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think exactly. So to your point, we want to get the word out about Bookshare, really help teachers understand how best
to help
to use it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. We will be actually this year working on really building some training resources to help teachers understand how they could use Bookshare, incorporate into their classroom practices, into sort of UDL practices, which is universal design for learning. And I think that I'm really excited to bring that to teachers, because we know teachers are hurting, and we want to make sure that they are aware of this and can help their students, help provide this to their students, and in return help their students.
Well, and I want to tell you, and you can carry the word, but I know Carry Motor Media and everybody over there is listening, or will listen at some point. Okay, we are always welcome. You are always welcome to send us editorial, okay, about what Bookshare is doing, and we will run it. Okay, so don't ever hesitate to send us articles, press releases, whatever the case may be. We will put it out there, okay, because we are 100% behind you, okay. And I just want I want you to know that as the CEO, okay.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, and I mean that sincerely. We will back you 100% because the work you guys do is so darn important, and not although you are so good at all this, not enough people are taking advantage of it, and you want everybody to take advantage of it, okay? Because that's what it's for. All right, that's it. I had to ask you something. I thought of this a few minutes ago. By the way, I want to say again, everything Bookshare does is free, FREE. If you can't spell that, everybody. So there's no tricks. Is my point. Okay, I had to ask. Do you have translations of books? Like if a book is in Spanish, can the kids get it in English too? Is that possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't translate books. I think part of that is copyright restrictions, right?
Probably.
So so we don't do that. However, we are building and really making a focus to build content that is in multiple languages and that is culturally diverse. So, we have actually quite a big effort. Spanish language is the second most content in our collection, but we have more than 50 languages.
That's important. That's great.
Yeah, so we're really building those out, and in fact, we are being pretty systematic about it. Right, we're looking into these communities, seeing what languages are spoken, and making sure we have content there. And it's not just about language, right? It's about representation, right? We want stories about people that they can see themselves in, and I think that's
which is what encourages people to read. It's all the same story. That's what encourages somebody to read. It's a story about their culture. Okay, put themselves in it. It's all just builds up and builds up and builds up. Great stuff for reading and learning. And again, it is all free from Bookshare. Everybody at BENETECH.org. Ayan, thank you. Hey, are you out in California, or are you always here on the East Coast?
No, I'm in the East Coast. I'm actually in Maryland, in the Washington, D.C. area. So.
Okay, cool. No good food there. We won't talk about that. And the other thing I have to ask you. Oh, yeah. No. They do. They put vinegar on French fries. We'll move on there. Okay. Yeah. And that is good. And then you can have crab cakes. But we'll move on. Okay. I have to ask you this because you grew up in Oman and you grew up in India. And then you came to the United States. Now you're involved in education. Okay. Just anecdotally, compare the schools between India and the U.S., okay, what you remember, or maybe Oman, wherever you were when you were in school. What surprised you when you got here? And I'm not talking about college. Okay, you went to Georgia Tech and Carnegie Mellon. They're two of the best. Okay, I'm talking about school. What you went through K-12 and what you saw when you got here.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
I think actually. Yeah.
It is a fun question.
Yeah.
And, we're lucky at BENETECH. We also actually do work internationally. So
I know you do.
We have a lot of work in India as well. So, I think, I think the particularly, I think some of my recent reflections have been that, we are despite all the challenges we have in America, we have such an amazing public education system, and we have the ability to, really support students that you really don't get to see in countries like India and Oman. If you are able to get diagnosed or get yourself identified with any barriers, you have assistive technologies you can get, other supports at school can provide, and in India we really don't have any of that. We are working, for example, in India to try to get working in advocacy to get allow for devices to be allowed in schools publicly, so that our students. We work a lot with students who are blind in India, so they can actually go to inclusive education classes, go to public schools. So there's a vast difference, and I think that all I want to say is something like Bookshare, and that's help publicly supported. That's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of work we need to do and to become, a more equitable country.
There always is.
But I think every now and then it's good to see how much we can provide, and make sure we get that to all children. And there's a lot more work to do internationally.
Yeah, there always will be. If we ever get to 100%, we know we didn't do that. Okay, because it's never going to get there. But we always got to keep trying. And when we hear it and see it through someone's eyes that's not immersed in it all the time, like we are here. You grew up elsewhere. You see how good it is. We Americans, we love to complain. Okay, we complain about everything. All right, but really, we're doing pretty well. Okay, and we're going to do better. And I just want everybody to Bookshare at BENETECH.org, Google Bookshare, etc. Ayan, this is great to have you here. Come back anytime. You're always welcome. You're always welcome.
Larry, thanks a lot. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm glad we got to talk. And, thank you for the great work that you do in really highlighting organizations like ours. So,
well, forget me. It's all about you guys, and I'll tell you, you just do great work, and I've known you guys for a long time at BENETECH, and I got to tell you, the people and the company is just fantastic. So now they got you even better. They're at 101%. Okay, it's terrific. Thanks, Ayan.
Thanks, Larry.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye. Bye. Ayan Kishore, everybody. The show said it all. What a great guy. What a great company. Bookshare. Google it. BENETECH.org. Okay? And they take technology and make it work for everyone. And that's what it's about. And it's free. 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 Okay, we're going to archive the show at our Consortium for Equity at ace-ed.org. Okay, check it all out. We have a new issue of the magazine up there. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening.